Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to today's Demonar.
Welcome to today's Demonar.
We thank you for your time and appreciate it very much that you have chosen to attend this Demonar today. We have a great presentation planned for you. Our topic today is mobilizing your Lotus Notes applications to Teamstudio Unplugged. Our presenters today are Venkatesh, Krishnamurthy, and Lenoy George from Maarga Systems. Just as a reminder that we will have a question and answer session at the end of their presentation. But if you do have questions as we're going along, go ahead and type them in your control panel, and we'll address those at the end of their demonstration. Great. Thank you again, Venki and Lenoy. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you now. Venki, the time is now yours.
Great. Thanks, Scott, and good morning, everyone. This is our second webinar in the series on the topic of mobilization. The first time around, we had taken a broader approach, a more architectural approach to how to go mobile with Lotus Notes applications. This time around, we've taken a very specific approach, and we've taken specifically the possibilities that open out when we take up Teamstudio Unplugged, a great product out there which helps us go mobile with our Lotus Notes applications. So let me get started. A quick note about Maarga. Maarga is a company that specializes in providing solutions around enterprise workflow and collaboration technologies. The word Maarga literally means pathfinder, and we are a premier IBM partner with the deepest skills and presence in India, the United States, and a couple of other geographies between US and between Europe and Middle East. Just switch the slide here. Okay. So in terms of presenters, we're going to be two of us here. My name is Venki, Venkatesh Krishnamurthy. You have the ability to pronounce Indian names completely. And I'm the founder of Maarga. And along with me is Lenoy George, who is a technical architect and who is going to take over this presentation at a later stage and take us through the technical parts of the presentation. Okay.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, web events made easy.
Details with getting started with Unplugged development, and we actually see one application on Unplugged and how it goes from Notes to Unplugged and the specific tips and tricks involved, and some discussions around best practices on how to use it. And we'll end the whole session with a question and answer session if there are questions that you'd like answered by us. Okay, the business case itself for going mobile has been around for a while now. I think we have a world today that's significantly different from what it was 12 years back. Back in 2000, the desktop and the laptop were the preeminent computing devices. And today, smartphones and tablets have significantly invaded our whole IT space. And there is a whole slew of technologies that have come from push data to touch-based interfaces and social feeds and activity feeds, and a paradigm of being always connected, mindless of where you are, significantly more than where we used to go online very specifically, using our what looks primitive right now methods, back in 2000. And apps are increasingly being provisioned automatically over app stores and managed over the entire life cycle, as opposed to the rather kludgy method of distributing programs over a CD and IT having to do a whole lot of work around the deployment and upgradation of applications. And among these changes, a big part of it has been mobile technologies. Again, there are four mega forces that we're seeing happening right now. There is the cloud, there is big data and analytics, there's mobile, and there's social. And mobile is definitely something that's that's taking the world by storm, and the business values mostly around reducing the turnaround time in business processes and workflows, resulting in improved responsiveness as well as increased productivity. And there is also the ability to serve out content and data on an as-needed basis onto the small device. And more than that, we are being increasingly forced to take up mobile, because when the new generation comes into the workforce, it's demanding tools that it's comfortable with. And getting good talent is a matter of vital importance to a lot of organizations. So getting apps that they'll use, getting apps that they're used to in the consumer and the public space, and giving them similar experiences becomes very important for business applications to be adopted by these very critical employees going down the line. So we're seeing significant adoption of mobile devices and mobile applications. And by a particular prediction, Gartner had estimated that for every desktop app written in the future, there will be 4 mobile apps by as early as 2015. So that pretty much indicates like where we are going as a direction. Though a lot of these mobile apps are relatively smaller in footprint and size, there is a lot of challenges in going mobile. Some of them include the sheer complexity of dealing with a mobile world for the help desk. Right? You don't have too much visibility into what is happening on a small screen, and supporting customers is a difficulty. Among the biggest challenges is device fragmentation. There is iOS 4 and iOS 5 and 6. There's like, the iPhone has like multiple screen sizes right now and resolutions. Android, you don't even have to ask about fragmentation in Android. Like the whole ecosystem is inherently fragmented, and ranging from very, very kludgy devices at the lowest end to extremely fast performing and very well endowed devices at the highest end. And along with this comes a complex model of bring your own device, and along with that, like the mobile device management challenge of ensuring that applications and the data inside them are residing securely, so the corporate compliance requirements are met even when we meet the new user demand of going mobile. One of the other big challenges is syncing data with a mobile device. The mobile OSs are far less featured as of now compared to the desktop OSs, and the technologies for syncing have not been there till now. And there have been multiple approaches for going mobile also. That you can do a web application, you can do a hybrid application, you can do a native application. So there are many different approaches. So choosing between all these is the big challenge, and that's what we have outlined in one of our white papers that we released earlier in the year covering this topic. So going on, where does Teamstudio Unplugged fit in this whole environment? So if you have Notes Domino-based applications in your environment and you're looking at mobilizing them, 2 of the most common approaches are a web application on the mobile and a hybrid application on the mobile. Hybrid is something like a phone gap or a titanium accelerator kind of an application, whereas you can also do native applications written in, say, Objective-C or Android's native flavors. And you can also have applications written with a platform like an MEAP that handles a whole lot of complexity for you. Teamstudio Unplugged covers the space between web application, hybrid application. It's a little bit of an MEAP in itself. It handles like mostly the Lotus applications. So by definition, MEAPs cover multiple other application platforms that we might have, like say SAP or a couple of other things. So Teamstudio Applications travels very well between a web and a hybrid approach, and that's what we're going to look at today. Okay, before we get into the bulk of the program or the webinar, we'd like a couple of quick questions to see where the audience is at. So Scott, if we can pull the first and the second polls one after the other, we'd like to quickly see where everyone is and
Okay, here's our first
Scott,
poll.
can you pick it up? Yeah, the first one, yeah.
Okay, we do have our first poll ready. Give us about 5 more seconds. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this poll and display the results. Okay, looks like a lot of us are ready to explore.
Right, right. So, okay, these are early technologies as of now, and so that's a good indicator of where our audience is today. I'd like to go on to the next poll also. This is more specific to developers. We'd like to get a quick sense of what you feel, where you feel your skills on the mobile enablement front are right now. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, our second poll is now active. We'll go another 5 seconds. All right.
Okay, great. So that gives us a quick idea as to where we are, collectively as a group, and this is broadly where the industry is also. We'll move on, with the rest of the presentation. Thanks a lot for participating in those polls. Okay, so we're starting off with Unplugged. What Unplugged itself is a platform that Teamstudio has released that enables you to deploy Lotus Notes applications to a mobile device. The Unplugged framework, the application, it syncs the app design and data locally to the device, and this will allow users to work even in remote areas where there is no connectivity. While it looks like the whole of the world is today connected, particularly the developed world is connected with wireless technologies, there still are many patches where it's difficult and sometimes impossible to kind of work with a purely online access mode. So the whole the greatness of replication that Notes brings, Unplugged brings it to the mobile world. Users can sync the data and their applications with the Domino server whenever they're connected, and when they are disconnected, they can use the applications on the mobile phone. So it's a simple concept, taking replication and note security to a container on multiple mobile devices. So Unplugged has options for both Notes for iPhone and Android and Blackberry. So that covers pretty much most of the platforms out there. And I know they are constantly looking at the market and seeing where the market is headed in terms of mobile operating systems and addressing what needs to be done to ensure that their customers have maximum coverage. So Unplugged engine itself is is a device side of the whole architecture, where it's a native application that's available on the respective app store of the different platforms. So it's virtually like a lightweight Notes client, right? It manages the applications, it's a container for the applications. It also handles the device synchronization and the security. So that's on the client side, and on the server side, you have an application, what is called a data synchronizer. It's a Lotus Notes application that you deploy on one of your Domino servers, and that handles all the sync requests from individual devices, as well as provisioning of the devices and provisioning of databases and and specific users to access those devices. It also handles logging and communicates via HTTP connection with the devices. So with that, I said different, the ground for a deeper exploration. So I'm handing over to Linoy, who will take over and talk further about how to develop apps.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to everybody there. So I'm Linoy. I'm the technical architecture, which is with a lot of nuanced experience in development, and now doing some more work into the Teamstudio Unplugged application as well. So up to now, we have shared about why we need to go for the mobile, or what are the different platforms, and what are the different various flavors available, and about the Teamstudio Unplugged and why it is good for a Lotus Notes application. We have just heard about that. Now we'll just come into the development part of that, how to develop an application, or what are the prerequisites and all that. So we'll start with how to prepare the development environment. So typically, before we need to install the Teamstudio Unplugged, we need to ensure that our system is the following requirements. One is it should be more than Lotus Notes release 8.5.1 on the supported version of Windows, and it should have a designer client as well of more than 8.5.1 to support all the X pages application controls. And approximately the Unplugged need a 50 MB of hard space and sufficient RAM to run the IBM Lotus Notes. Typically, IBM recommended 2 GB for that. So that typically depends upon the HTTP max heap, and you need to check off that, because while developing, we usually experience about Java memory is getting higher, and proper updates are not happening. So we will need to just check on that. And we need web browser, definitely. It will be IE Mozilla Chrome will be a good combination to check all together and debug all together. And if you are working on a local machine with a local server, or completely on locally, we need to make sure that our HTTP port 80 is only used by a Domino server. So typically, if you have Skype or of any of the other chat machines are installed, there is a chance that the port 80 can be used. So these are some of the preparations that we need to done before we develop or start developing the Unplugged application. And just as Venki has described, what are the different flavors available. So we have for the iOS version, the Teamstudio Unplugged is available in the App Store, and for the Android, it's the Google App World. And it's basically, it will be always good that the Android version should be more than 4.0, because 4.0 come with a more maturity state of relating to the application and the security level. And the Blackberry World also has the Blackberry App World also has the Teamstudio Unplugged. So how you can just go onto your mobile device, and either from the Google Play Store or iOS App Store, you can just search and install Teamstudio Unplugged. Usually, it will be good always to search for Teamstudio Unplugged, because if you search Unplugged, so many games will come to you. So it's always good to do the Teamstudio Unplugged. And it is quite easy. So if you are a regular user of iPhone or Android, it is the same as all the other apps to install, and just prepare yourself to get the updates. That will be good enough. So once, I'm just taking an example of an iOS or an iPad to install that. And if you install the Teamstudio Unplugged on your device, Teamstudio itself is giving a wonderful opportunity to connect to the demo server and see how it is working before you develop the application. So that is one of the best things that is available. So you will get a prompt whether you need to connect to a Teamstudio demo server, yes or no. So if you click yes, it will automatically connect to the demo server, and it will give you authority to get the free apps out there. And so if you just click yes and choose sync, when the user is connected to the demo server, usually you will get the visual address book sample and plus other three templates coming with the Unplugged. That means team room, document library, and journal, which you can go and use it. So these you can experience the experience while seeing the picture itself. You can see that resembles Notes workspace. So this is one of the experience that you can have. So just moving further, so we are just going to look how to install the Unplugged server. So up to now we have seen how we can install the app into the server and connect into a demo server. Now, how to install a server into our environment? So you can go into the Teamstudio site. There is the server and the components is available in the site in the resource and downloads. And if you have an iOS version, you can just go ahead and download that particular Unplugged for iOS. Or so it will work for anything. So you can just go ahead and download it. When you download it, as you see in the picture, you can get this particular a couple of NTF files, notes templates files, and a release notes and a user guide. The user guide is a brilliant user guide, so you should read, and you can just follow the screenshots to install it. But just covering it, the first 4 templates that you have seen is a free templates that you have already seen in the mockup that you can actually go ahead and install in the server and see. But after that, there is a file called unplugged.nsf, which is actually the data synchronizer. So which routes all the database of who to sync and to whom to give access, and a lot of restrictions are and a lot of permissions are there. So that is the key of the Unplugged. So you need to install that unplugged.nsf file into your server. And the other one is unplugged log, which usually gives the logs of if any user is trying to communicate to your server, if any authentication problem or any permissions problems, all these problems will be available into the log. So, and the user guide will guide you accordingly. Once you have downloaded all these files, so deploying the Unplugged engine is create a unplugged.nsf. So in the root folder, which is always recommended into the root folder to identify it, and name it as unplugged.nsf itself, and then create in your server Domino 8.5.1 or later server. After that, once you once you deploy the database, then you need to set the ACL properly because this is only used for administrators. No developers should have access to that. So it should have only create docs privileges to the users, but the administrator should manage this. Then only you can manage who need to use the particular Unplugged mobile components. So default will be no access, anonymous will be no access, and users should give the privilege to create docs with another access, and admin should manage with admin roles to see all the. So this should be the ACL setting that is recommended for the unplugged.nsf in your server. And going back, once, so we have downloaded all the files from the Teamstudio. We have installed the particular database. We have set the ACL. Now the next step is to configure the unplugged server. So to configure the unplugged server, what we need to do is we need to click the, we need to open the database, click new application, and the application is need to set. You can just have a quick look how actually it looks. So I have already set up some of the application. So if you can look that you have a profile, you need to just go and click the new application. So you'll get a page with some of the fields need to be filled, or which is actually this document is controlling the this particular application which you are going to configure. So you need to set a profile. If you doesn't have a profile, you can just go and add a profile name here, because it's a default Notes application, and it's very straightforward with the keyword names. And then you can decide who all need to be who all need to have the access to this particular application. So who are the users that is going to use it, and who are the need the access. And enabled and disabled is, so once you have enabled it as yes, all the users that can have access to this particular, the access is from the ACL of that particular application on the application, which can be an names.nsf or any NSF file or a contacts.nsf. That NSF, as well as you have enabled here, when the particular user sync his Teamstudio engine, then he will get the icon in on his iPad or Blackberry or Android. So now the application server, so you can either leave it as empty if it is a current server, or even you can give the name of the particular server. That name should be fully qualified name from the server document, or the IP is also valid, so you can give the IP if it's 127.0.0.1. If it's a local, that is also particularly valid. And you can have the application path. So typically, if the application is inside a folder, we'll go with a slash. If it's under a demo folder, we need to have a slash and then get, as we do in the Lotus Notes as well. And you can see that there are device types. So we can specify this application demo.nsf can be used by the users Venkatesh Krishnamurthy and Linoy George for all the devices tab. So it typically is not restricted to any of the device. So, but if you need to restrict some of your users to iOS or Android or Blackberry, you can just go ahead and select which one is needed, and that will be good. So admin has a full privilege whom to use what devices, or only one devices, or any kind of this actually rules and regulates it. And send attachments to the device, don't send attachments to the device is also a provision, because from mobile attaching the attachments will typically take some time while synchronizing, because it's locally it's storing and synchronizing a bulk data, and attachments can be anything. So just need to check that. And another option, the two below options are workspace and auto launch. As it suggests that do not show the Xpage engine in workspace. So please don't show this particular application in the workspace. Where this is helpful is if you have a keyword database, and the keyword database should not be visible for the end users, but for a offline capable app, the keyword database need to be there in the offline to push up and pull the data to get the configuration. In that keyword database case, or the configuration database case, this is helpful. And auto launch is if a company has a policy that whoever opens the Lotus Notes app, it should open the intranet page, or a typical application then that can be set into the automatic launcher. So this is how we configure a particular user. And if you close it, you can just see that there is an option of enable and disable the application. Even though if you have all filled and properly known, and the administrator says that no, this application don't want to enable to the mobile devices, then it's very easy to just go and click on the disable. This is how a application is typically registered and configured. And after that, we need to go and add the users into the mobile app, into the Unplugged. And how we will do that is, again, we can just go and navigate to the users and click a new user and fill the username. Here also the enable and disablement we do. And the only thing is that he can be a part of the profile. So these profiles can be selected and sync device log. So if you enable this, then whenever this person experiences an error when he's trying to sync, so that sync will be available in the server as well. So admin can or a developer can go and easily find out what is the problem and what is. So and here, if a user is having iPad, Android, iPhone, iPod, and different types of devices, and an admin can easily restrict that which all devices he needs to use. He can very well restrict that user can create a device or user cannot create a device. So if one device is created, and you can say that yes, only this device is available for now for the particular person. So that is typically when people used to have all the application in all the devices and pull and push the data, and to avoid the hassles for the admins as well as with the Unplugged engine. So usually administrators can do that. Again, if you doesn't have a name present in the users, you will get a error at the time of singing, which is no user present. So you must have all of your users present here to enable the devices. And going back, then we need to enable or disable the devices as well. So this part is pretty straightforward. All the devices in the first thing itself, the MAC ID of the device and who is accessing that particular device and what is the flavor of the device. So if it's an iPad, if it's an Android phone, and what type of, if it's Android, you know that there are multiple flavors. It can be HTC, it can be Nexus 7, it can be Nexus 4, it can be any of them. So all these things will be stored in the user agent. And we can say that, yes, Lino is using 2 devices. He has only authority to use 1. So you can go ahead and disable that. So this is the Unplugged synchronizer database, so which we can actually choose and disable and add users and add applications. So this is the key part of the configuring of the applications. And another part is the log, where you can see all the log files with the synchronization log databases. So if you go to the synchronization logs, you can see what type of action happened and what is the device and what is the, so if you see that what is the error happened. So I have a problem with singing a Java memory problem. So it will give it help to the user to find out what is the problem, why that problem caused on at the same level of X pages gave us the solution. So now, before we starting into the development, what are the key, how to start the development and what is the key skills that we needed? That is what we need to decide and discuss. The skills that is needed are Lotus Notes skills, so basic knowledge about Lotus Notes, how the replication works, what are the problems that is anticipating, and how the X pages work, typically a little bit of X pages, SSJs, what is the architecture of the X pages, and how to code and how to call JavaScript, server-side JavaScript, client-side JavaScript, how to put CSS over the X pages, and all that. Unplugged application is working with the X page at the back end, so whatever related to the X pages, that is the skills that we need, and the web concepts as well, how the HTML5 works, how the CSS3 works, and all that. So these are the skills that is needed, and it will be good. It will have a little bit of admin skills as well to troubleshoot when the problems with the memory heap and that come. But it's not definitely needed. When X pages, a lot of nodes or an X page developer can easily develop the Unplugged app. And how to plan the application. So we are just putting into the 3 segments of the application. One is a native application that is written long back in Lotus Notes with a workflow and with a complex structure. And existing X pages application migrated to X pages or a new X page application and a fresh application. So we are here today. What we are going to discuss is just existing Lotus Notes application. It's a discount tracking system actually, which has a 8 level of difficult workload depending upon the persons and the products. Actually, this application is meant for giving the discount for who are using buying the because product, and if the margin of the discount is higher, you need 1 level more approval depending upon the percentage of discount you are giving. And that kind of workflow, and there is 3 levels of minor workflow, and the rest of the 5 levels on the back-end workflow is going to get approved from different marketing area and national sales head, and then going into the lab. So why we choose this application is this kind of application is really needed on the field. So in a field, it's not very easy that carrying a laptop, but it's easy to access through mobile device and sync it when it's in office or when you have a connection, and then get approval. So how fast we can deliver how fast we can approve the sales, and these kind of applications that we have looked at. So these are the this is the basic functionality. So this is how it looks in Notes typically. So I'm just switching my screen into the iPad to see how it shows in the iPad. So this is how it looks in the iPad environment. So it is like a Notes workspace itself. You have multiple. As you've seen that there are 3 applications configured in the data synchronizer. So 3 applications are come here. So you can have the icons as you have in the Notes. So it will also be better. And so you can actually see how the application looks in the mobile. The same application that is looking in the mobile. So you have the different views on the left-hand side, and different the documents are loading on the right-hand side, and you having a so that's because of a offline problem. I have just a problem that's not. I can just show it how it works now. So the different views, as you can see, if you click the view, the different documents are loading. So it has a good response. So because it has since it's a workflow application and this much of levels of workflow, it has huge access control in the backend in the Lotus Notes. That is the advantage of the Lotus Notes. And because of that, take a little time to render load the document. And if you click the actual document, you can see that it's opening perfectly on the iPad. So this is the same application that you are seeing in the Lotus I can just show in the Lotus Notes. So this is the same application that you are seeing in the iPad. It's seen in the iPad. So Lotus Notes has a broader place to show there are admins and tools. We are always suggesting a hybrid method because it's always good do the admin part from the Lotus Notes rather than from the iPad because it is an offline. So if you forget to sync it and the time, that settings will not go into the user. So this we will just go and walk through how the application can be developed. So I'm just going into the designer for the EC part. So you can see that this is a Lotus Notes application and Lotus Notes application with forms, views, and X pages and series. So nothing too complex things. So a couple of things for the remembrance. So it will be always better that you have a jQuery knowledge on the backend because jQuery is an extremely supported thing in the Unplugged, and we can use jQuery. So first of all, in your application, you need to copy the different files of jQuery mobile that will be used. So just to get the all the features of the jQuery, it will be always good. And then the CSS. From the CSS part, actually, Teamstudio itself has given some of the CSS to find it how whether it is an iPad orientation and all that. So we don't need to recreate it. So that can be reused, and the rest of the CSS you can actually go ahead and build in according to the application and need it. So these are the two things that you need to remember before you start the application, to copy the resources into the proper place. And one more thing, so there is the logo is coming from a file called UNP logo.gif. So if you need to use another logo, you need to replace this. These are the three things that you need to remember before you start looking in the X-Space. So typically, since we have an existing Lotus Notes application, we need to start from the scratch with an X-Space. So what Teamstudio support is, always there need to be a UNP main X-Space is needed, because the data synchronizer, as we discussed, the data synchronizer will in the backend go and look in this UNP main.xsp, and from that UNP main.xsp you can navigate into different things. So this UNP main.xsp is a must thing in the application that you are going to develop. And how we can develop the thing? So we can design it easily and we can push it. So usually the first page that is opening, it should be a kind of view. So I'm just going to show another flavor. So this is a home page of the same application in a different edit. Earlier we have seen a two navigation. Now it's a single navigation with a view loaded over there, and you can see that there is a on the right hand side on the menu is coming. This is why we need the jQuery effects need to be happen, so we can easily create these kind of menus without putting much effort. So I'm just going to tell how we created the home page like this. So to create that, the best thing is put actually put a table over there, and the views will not support directly as support view control. So we need to actually mark the data into this as a view, so you can compute it. So it's a SSJS server-side JavaScript computation. You can compute and put it there, or you can hard code it to a particular data that from the view. And with this data, you need to set a repeat control here. So you need to tell that, yes, I am going to use this particular data, and this is the raw data that I'm using for repeat control, and put columns and tables under, and this is the first label, and the first label we say that take from the field txt project name, so it will give you the name, and then the other thing will say that from the customer name. So this is what we are seeing in the application. So it is quite easy to get a data binding using the repeat control. So we need to use that technique to show a view. The view control is not directly. And you'll be wondering what is the black color a loader is in the middle. So this is a loader actually. So this is present to put while opening a particular database. Now you can see there is a loader is running. So just to show how much time it is taking, rather than not showing the user nothing is happening. So this is one of the loader facility that is given, and how to implement that. You can just go ahead and build that loader in a div-ID. So you need to think some HTML perspective here rather than an X-page perspective or a Lotus Notes perspective. You need to add div-ID into that, and then you need to add the function. It's a jQuery loader actually. jQuery gives the facility to add the loader, so you need to add display is equal to none or none. And write the code. I'm comfortable with writing and going into the source and writing, because I was writing X-page app for quite some years. So, but even if you want to write it from the front end itself, you can just go ahead and write it according to the event. So this is how it works. And quickly coming into the form, so you have seen that this is a sample things that we have created just now. Is not in the application base, to show that in the ability to change the themes on the fly. It's basically changing the CSS and showing different colors, so you can easily, users can easily choose. And if you
One moment, everyone. I believe we've lost our audio. One moment, everyone. We'll have the audio back online in just a moment. This would be a good time if you are, while we're waiting, if you do have a question, to go ahead and expand your GoToWebinar control panel and type in your questions. Hello, do we have you back online?
Yeah, we're back online. Sorry, too many switching between too many devices.
No problem.
sorry for that. So we'll just continue quickly. So what I was telling is, if you go back and create a new request, so we can actually do that, and we can actually fill all the details as you're filling in the iPad for a different application. And if you see that this is a pretty long length here, a field set because of the functionalities of the particular application. So actually, if you submit this application, submit this particular request, you can see that it will be submitted into the system itself. So if you go ahead and add it, you just see that one more demo to the sync was already added from the particular device. So these are some of the capabilities. So I just did save and just have a quick sync so that it works perfectly coming into the system. So how just show how to submit and get the things up. Just getting into the code of the form. So if you see, this is the architecture of the form. All the fields are put into a table kind of thing, and the table is rotated by the div and the ID. If you see in the source code, you can just see that all with the div ID. And the beauty is this is using not the tables of HTML. It's using the XP table, so you can have the flexibility of style class enablement, and even you can have the one UI theme over here and get the CSS done. So all these fields you just drag and drop as you wish, and then you complete it, and then put your buttons over there. So if you have an existing application, you can copy all the stuff directly from the X page, or you can call that X page from the UNP main X page into this application. And you can have hidden fields as well to navigate, as we use in the Lotus Notes, hidden fields as well to navigate. So we'll just go and look at the code of the submit button typically. So in the submit button, there are two actions are happening. One action is server side, and the other action is the client side. And I'll tell why it is needed. So before that, the visibility of the submit button is computed using the client side JavaScript. That is one of the things that we have done. And looking at the code, you can see that the server side is secure. So the submit request is function is called, and that function is available in the script library called UNP main, and you can see that is it just closed because I think it's not typically happy with opening the script library. So we can see that the function is the server-side JavaScript, and we have just commented some of the sequence number generation because that is not needed for now. So it's all server-side. So whatever code that you have already known in the server-side can be put it into the code as a function and call that. And you can see that we have already written client-side also into that. There is a purpose for that to write, because one of the purpose is the validation. The validation is always easy to do in the client side rather than the server side, because in the mobile devices, a pop-up will be good enough to show whether you missed something. So it's always best practice that just show the pop-up, so the alert will do that. And I told you earlier that whenever the loader will hide and show due to for that loader to call and show is also available. So this is how we have developed the application. As we say that how to save the particular document. So this is very easy to actually develop. And just before winding up, I'm just planning to talk about some of the best practices that we need. And the best practices are how to handle the combo of bugs. Actually, Xpage's on-change events of combo waves or radio button does not work properly, because you need to think it's not working on a server or on with a X-Page engine. It's on offline with an HTML and an unplugged engine over there. So you need to understand that that will not be worked. So what is the easiest way is you need to add a jQuery event and add a class and track with the client. So that is the best, easiest way. And you may be noticed that in the application that there is no on-client load event for the X pages, but there is a event actually for in the body tag of the HTML. And you can write, go ahead and body tag. I'll just try to show you that very quickly. So you can just see that we have just created a body tag and onload and call the onload function. So this is one of the best practices that you can just follow in the onload. And combo box and radio box and date functions typically have some workaround with the HTML and the CSS, so that you need to have a look on that. And hyphens can be on the fly by using the client-side JavaScript, proper client-side JavaScript. Why? Because the partial refresh is not supported in this, so we just need to have the on-fly of client-side script and the CSS. That will be best. These are the couple of the best practices that will work with the unplugged, and it's that not difficult to go with a workaround as well. So this is what we have just seen, how to develop a simple application and how to configure it and what are the best practices on that. So I think this is the time to go to the third poll that we have. So Scott, can you please show the poll for us, the third poll?
Okay, I'll do the third poll now. Give me one moment. And I'm launching the poll for everyone. So again, how many mobile applications do you foresee in your environment? We'll open this up for another 10 seconds. And Lenoy, I've muted your microphone because that's where my audio echo was coming from. So I'll unmute you in just one moment. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and display the results. All right, we have on the high end right now there's a few applications with a few that have a lot of applications to deal with.
So we are good. We are good with that. So this is the number that we are actually looking for ourselves. So just telling what are the improvements that is making from the first version to this version. So iOS 6 is with the latest release of 6 and 6.1 of update, 6.0.1 of update that has been actually improved the robustness, and the new X-Page tags and the tab panel is also supporting now. And iPhone 5 and A6 processor support is a good thing, and it's at a high speed to the unplugged engine. It's also supported. And for the JavaScript SSAs, it's improved. Most of the JavaScript SSA functions are supported now, and a couple of things are exceptions. That exceptions is clearly mentioned in the user guide of the unplugged. So and constant updates are coming on the blog as well. So there are a couple of comments on the Lotus Notes trend, as well as the SSJS is not very well supported, but the client side is properly supported with the HTML5. And the one of the missing features was with the 2.1 as well was the mobile camera and or the iPad or iPhone cameras support. but Teamstudio is giving chance to release on version 2.2 with the support of the camera. So these are the improvements that in the Unplugged, and they are constantly making the improvement into that. Before we went, I like to summarize once more. So today we have gone through why we need a mobile, what are the paradigms of mobiles available, and how can we develop on that, and how we will decide to go to the mobile and smartphones and all. And we have also seen what is Unplugged as a Teamstudio, what is a Teamstudio Unplugged does for specifically for Lotus Notes application, and how it can be downloaded, how it can be configured, how we can just start an application to develop, and what are the pros and cons, and what are the best practices that is available, and what are the best features that is available with the Teamstudio, and how the synchronization works, and how quick the synchronization is as well by syncing the application. And we have just seen a demo of one of the working application in the development, and learning and best practices from our side. Since we are working for a couple of months over this, we know that is evolving and have a good platform. So this is what totally we have seen today in our webinar. So
with that, we've come to the end of the webinar, and if you have questions, you can shoot it across, and we can take it and try to answer it for you.
Okay, we do have a few questions lined up. Again, if you do have a question, simply expand your GoToWebinar control panel and type in the questions, and they'll queue up for us to read to Lenoy and Venki. Our first question, let me just scroll down. First question is the data on the device secure?
yeah, the data on the device is secured. So once you have given, how it works is once you have given your username and password, so all the data of the other mobile devices, your password is stored there, your username is stored there. As far as your username and password is stored, you can, anyone use your mobile or mobile device can see that. But if you are unlock that application, nobody can see that data. So the data is secured in your device.
Excellent. Next question. For your demo application, how long did it take you to actually create and prepare the application for this demo?
So for this application, so we are already developed, and we were using, so we didn't typically develop for the demo, so it was a developing application, and it is quite the same time that we need to develop an X-Page application. So if it's typically what the logic of the application, and typically what time you take to an X-Page app to design and develop the same time, and just add some more flavor into the CSS and JavaScript. So if you have a mobile component with no CSS and all that, it's the same time as the X-Page development time.
All right, perfect. Next question. One second. We got a few coming in at the same time. I need to keep scrolling down. Do I have access to native device features such as camera, file attachments, and how can I attach attachments from using while using Unplugged?
So as I discussed, the camera is not supported. This camera will get supported from the next version. That is what the Unplugged side, and the Unplugged, the Teamstudio also promises us. And the attachment is supported, and typically the attachment is limited to how it is configured in the configuration DB. So what type of attachment it can be limited. You can have a selection formula of the forms as well. And if you enable attachment, you can attach anything that is in your mobile.
Perfect. A follow-up question to that is, how am I able to launch attachments on Androids similar to the way we would do it on the iOS?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. One more question here. If we have developers skilled in X pages, how long will it take them to write unplugged applications? So I guess a comparison between straight X pages development and then development for the unplugged applications.
So that's typically depending upon the developer's skills on the web applications and the jQuery. So typically we need more. In X pages application, the Dojo gives us more more things which can be configured and drag and drop perfectly. But here we need to use the jQuery. So a developer need to know the jQuery. So if the developer is only used for X pages within the IBM boundary, other than jQuery is not implemented, it takes little more time. Not little more, it requires more time, because we need to know about HTML, how we can link, and CSS3, how to link up and put it in the div, and use jQuery. Other than that, it is the similar similar time that it takes an X-page developer, a pure X-page developer to understand and write it. And the difference is, while calling an action, you need to understand, you need to call, sometimes you may need to call the client side and the server side together to perform and complete an action. So if you can differentiate that, the web developer or the X-page developer have that capability, then it's quite straightforward, only the X-page's time. Otherwise, it will take a little more time to invest and find it out.
All right, great. That is our last question, as we are a little bit over time. So we'll pause the questions there. If anyone does have questions they haven't asked during the question and answers, you can certainly contact Maarga Systems. We did record this presentation, and we will post it onto our website. An email will be sent to you with the link, and also a link to contact Maarga Systems if you have any specific questions you want to address with them later. So I think we're ready to go there. I want to thank everyone for attending. And Illinois, Venki, thank you for your time. I'll give you the last part of the farewell here to let them know how to contact you now if they want to get in touch with you before we get the video posted, and a final word about Unplugged.
Sure. Thanks, Scott, for the opportunity again. Our information is available in the presentations that we have on the Notes Code site, the webinars that we have, and our website is www.maargasystems.com. There's a lot of resources out there, including a good mobility white paper. And we're doing a lot of work on this front along with Teamstudio. There's a good offer going on right now where Teamstudio is giving a good discount on their platform for people who are desiring this month. And we are giving a very aggressive pricing on the first few services, first few projects being done. And part of what we do is we also train the internal corporate developers on how to develop their skills so that they can develop applications for themselves. So it's a great opportunity. We'd love to hear from you. And if there's anything more that you need about it, also we're available to answer your queries. Thank you very much again.
Excellent. Thank you, Illinois, and thank you, Venki. We appreciate your time. Thank you again for everyone for attending. Have a great day, and we'll see you at Connect 2013 or at another event where you're attending. Thank you again, and have a great day.